Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1065 of our daily content grind. Now today, I thought I would go over something that we've touched on here and there, but I've never actually dedicated an entire video to it. There's a lot of Transformers over the years that are really good, really fun figures, but for one reason or another, we only get to see them one time. If you are a fan of that design, if you are a fan of that character, you get one shot and that's it. You have never gotten an enhanced version of that character or any other repeat. You haven't gotten a reissue, but they're all over the place, and we've had them ever since the original days of Generation 1. There's still G1 toys that still don't have a modern update. You know, I had Chain Claw as a kid. I've not seen one since. You know, where's that childhood memory, Hasbro? So the point of today is to highlight a lot of those kind of forgotten figures that I think were really unique, really special, really like the design, and would love to see a modern interpretation of them or just an update of some kind here or there. We've talked about all of these at some point in previous videos, but I'm going to try and throw in a few that we haven't, and more or less this is to just kind of like consolidate those little thoughts of like, oh, I love this one, pull them out of the ether, pluck them all into the same spot, you know? And it starts with one that we've talked about recently. If you've been watching my series of best toys of every year, then you'll know that I am a big fan of Energon Prowl. I like his unique stature. I like his kind of cute, kind of dumpy shape and design. You know, he is a short stack. We stand a short king here. But what gets to me is just the vehicle mode. This is something that is so anime, to reimagine an F1 car as a police pursuit vehicle. And it's not the only time I've seen it. I've seen it again. Mugenbein. When's the last time I talked about Mugenbein on this channel? But there was one. It turned into a Pteranodon or a pterodactyl. And it was the best design. I love the look and the design that it had. And I've seen just normal cars are like this. Normal toy cars, I should say. But I love the idea they brought to Transformers, you know, and I really love the look of it and all, and I would love to see another version of it. It just seems like it'd be, you know, a standout design that just kind of screams Transformers Energon, but they don't seem to really want to touch anything Transformers Energon, so it remains in my nostalgic memories. Now, this is to the point. You could argue that because it's Prowl and it's a police car, that this is still just like a re-envisioned version of G1 Prowl, and it's just a different iteration of the character, which is not true character-wise or design-wise. It's just a borrowed name and another cop car. But for the most part, I'm trying to keep this list to one-off characters, things that have literally only had one toy ever and have never been updated since then. But there are a few G1 characters that I would like to touch on now, just to kind of bring out some of the designs that they've had over the years that I really, really like, that I really wish they would do again. For instance, Perceptor. This is the reveal the shield version of the character, and I gotta be honest, this one is a lot more enjoyable to me design-wise. Now, engineering-wise, I would like it to be a little bit less clunky, which I'm sure they could do these days, but design-wise, I love this idea. The microscope is classic. Don't get me wrong, there's always going to be a place for a microscope Perceptor, but I think the recent one that they did is kind of perfect. I don't see a reason why they would ever need to do another Perceptor toy like it. So maybe it's time that he gets the Megatron treatment of, you know, maybe kids don't really care about a toy microscope guy. Maybe we should actually reimagine him. Well, you did it in 2010 when you made him this half-track truck that looks like an exploration vehicle. It looks like the type of scientific vehicle you'd see someone taking to the rim of a volcano so that they can observe magma as it's, you know, boiling up. It's that kind of vibe to the vehicle mode, and I love it. I think it's a perfect adaptation of Perceptor and a great chance of getting him back into normal modern Transformers without stretching your imagination, is to figure out why they would someone who would choose a microscope as an alternate mode. Way better to me. Also, and this one I admit, weird, but I don't know why. I don't know why I like it so much, but I do. Why this wheelie work? Why does this wheelie work? Why does this wheelie work as a jazz retool? Why? This is the only time you've ever seen Wheelie outside of his like standard like futuristic dome car thing that he normally turns into. That looks like some kind of like rolling caterpillar cocoon. But this for whatever reason actually kind of works. I think something about the rhyme scheme that he has kind of plays with the more audio-centric accessories jazz can come with, to where like that part makes sense, but overall it just looks good. Why does Buff Wheelie look so good? Why does it work? And I wouldn't mind them working it again. It's really cool, actually. So, yeah, I don't know if they'll ever do it, because it's GDO. GDO was like the last gasp of like really weird retools and repaints, that we would get back in like the mid 2000s. But now, like, this was kind of like the last of it. It's a cool figure. I still really like it. I don't think I'm ever going to get this one again. I don't think they're ever going to make a modern jazz into Wheelie. And the last one for our run of I wish this design for a G1 character would come back. Let's look at Kickback again. So the thing with Kickback is I like him, but man, he is by far the simplest of toys and the simplest of designs. He's not horribly impressive, but when you make him a monstrous grasshopper like Fall of Cybertron did, and you give him this incredibly wicked design on the chest with this like 3-point armor coming off the chest and the shoulders, and this heavy bow gun made of his wings, the extra insect arms coming over his shoulders. This is such a cool design. This is such a cool design. If you haven't seen it, this is a design I love so much, I bought not one, but 2 prototypes of this design so that I could see it in different colors, because this is a toy that was also never repainted outside of Takara's alternate color scheme, which is frankly so different and diverse from what Hasbro did. I'm genuinely considering buying it down the road just so I can have every version of that toy. At that point, the only version of it that probably exists that I do not have would either be like a solid color hard copy where it's all one color of plastic, or more likely the only one that's left to exist is the all clear prototype that would be how they see the engineering working inside a toy while they manipulate it. Either way, this is such a glow up from G1 Kickback. And what hurt me was the fact that they never did the Insecticons proper. They never did Shrapnel or Bombshell. But now we have Gamer Edition. And if Gamer Edition keeps going through the High Moon Studio designs the way they are, we might land on Kickback again. And if they are going to do one, their mission this time is to do all of a group. So, yeah, that's my fingers crossed moment. Maybe we actually do get the whole set of Insecticons at some point. Now let's look at some of the one-offs that I just love that I've talked about over the years, and we're going to talk about them again. For instance, Energon Sharkticon. I'm not sure why I love this design so much. It looks like a submarine got its armor blasted off on the back half. But there's just something about it that works. I like the yellow and purple. I like the black and the silver. I love the deco, by the way. I love how the silver goes through the top of the vehicle mode. I love this mix of submarine and battleship. It's an extremely aggressive vehicle that I really, really like. It's half backpack former, but I don't care. I like it that much that it does not bother me in the least. It does this really cool job of like being half shark, half battleship. It's a really, really cool look. I really, really love the design on this. I own every version of this figure. I own the American original. I own a set of 3 Sharkticons. I own the Skybite, and I own the Axelon, which I think is one of the best repaints of all time. I love the toy that much. I will buy it 6 times. But that being said, it's never going to be done again. I hate that. And that seems to be the fate of many shark transformers. It's really only Skybite that's escaped that. You know, I can't talk about, Hammerbite, for instance. I love the design on Hammerbite. Again, like, I love the multi-tone blue all across the body. I like the Poseidon aspect they gave him with the head crown. I like the fins on the arms, the faux mouth. I guess it's actually his mouth, but like the mouth of the shark making up like the design on his chest. It's a really cool design. I hate how cool this design is because it comes from Cyberverse, which is almost certainly not going to get any new toys outside of like a very, very select few. We made a Tarn, so we're going to redo the Tarn into Cyberverse because it gives us an excuse to repaint it. We did, we did Chromia. We're doing, we did a figure that kind of looks like Chromia, but it's just a repaint or retool of Prowl. That kind of thing. This is a 1-episode character. The odds of him getting any kind of toy representation, any kind of modern toy that is more articulation focused and less gimmicky, slim to none. And it's a shame because it's such a cool figure. Man, I love this one. I love this one. And it might come into just the fact that I really like Hammerhead sharks in general. And that's one of those alt modes that gets used every now and then in Transformers, but no one has claimed it. No one's identity is specifically the Hammerhead Shark Transformer. Even the original Cyber Shark is more well known as the Transmetal 2 Great White version that became Skybite. That leaves a lot of those kind of, ironically, floating in the waters. Case in point, Hammerstrike. I love this thing, and I don't know why. This is one of those where I don't exactly know what drew me to Hammerstrike as a design, but something about the transformation was just fun. I just really liked the overall look. The tan and orange work for me. Like those hits of blue, I think is a good contrast color. It's just such an alien figure. It's not normally my aesthetic, but I will gladly support this figure. It's one of those that pains me, because it's a lot of translucent plastic on ball joints. So like the last one I owned, I've told this story many times on this channel. I came home one day and I found it's on a shelf and the arms have fallen off at the shoulders because they just broke on their own. I hadn't even picked up the toy and messed with it in a couple months, so it wasn't even like a heavy play thing. It just gave out, because that's what clear plastic will eventually do. I'm considering rebuying it. I'm actually considering buying 2 boxed copies of it, so I can run an experiment on just how long the clear plastic holds up. Just as another example of proof that it's not just me. This just happens to this stuff. Lofty goals would take a long time, too, because this is like a time evaluation project. But it's something in my head. I just kind of want an excuse to rebuy it, really. You would think this list would be full of Cybertron designs, because Cybertron had a lot of original characters I'd love to see new toys of. But I'm going to pick a few things that are a little bit out there that I haven't talked about much, just so we have a little bit of diversity. I could talk about Scourge, I could talk about a lot from Cybertron, but I'm going to focus on one that's been hitting my brain a lot more recently lately, and that's Brimstone. Number 1, I love the name Brimstone. That's a cool name for a Transformer. We're in the current era of the Armorizers, the rock vehicle guys, and there's nobody named Brimstone. Hi, Hasbro. Someone out there is listening. Wake up, please. But I really like this design because it does something very, very different. I like the asymmetrical way it handles the legs in order to create, the head for the beast mode. It's a really cool looking way of hiding that. And it's a design that would work with other dinosaurs. I have been exposed to dinosaur documentaries since last time I looked at this toy. That makes me realize just how cool animals like the Quetzalcoatlus are. This would be a great way of making one into a Transformer. an absolutely great way. And yes, beyond that, I really like the tan and the yellow. I really like the look on the wings. They are translucent, but they're not like stress-bearing translucent, so I'm not worried about them. The truth is that when I went on that big toy hunt vacation in Arizona and California, I found a Galaxy Force Terra Shaver. So if I was willing to, if I had the guts to open up that box, I could have this toy again. And I'm kind of debating it. I will throw one out to you movie fans. In fact, I'll throw a couple out. And I'm going to start with one that I know a lot of us can agree on, and that would be Wreckage from the 07 line. The ones that are the 07 toys that are exclusive to the toy line are fascinating to me because they still have some of that Cybertron and Classics mindset to the way that they're designed and engineered, even though they are trying to do what the other movie toys are doing. So it makes them feel different even in their own toy line. And Wreckage stands out so much. It's just a cool looking figure. The off-white and gray hit so good with the red. The red pops so hard on this toy. It's well laid out to make him look really powerful in both modes. He looks really cool. The twin blade. You know, he was Darth Mauling it in Transformers back in 07. It's just an overall really cool design. And I know a lot of people who really like this design. And it's one of those where I kind of cry out and go, hey, Studio Series, I know you're out of ideas. Could you maybe throw us a bone and come out with a few things that aren't strictly from the movies, but are still nostalgic for movie fans? Because I feel like a Voyager class version of this toy would bank. Like, I feel like they are leaving money on the table here. Let's go to motorcycles briefly, all right? Because there's a couple I'll mention, and the first one is movie. And, hey, guess what? Same name, Brimstone again. We get a lot of motorcycle Transformers, but they are generally racing-style motorcycles, or, you know, they're dirt bikes, or, like, more Japanese-centric in, like, motorcycle design. Sleek, aerodynamic, but I don't like that kind of motorcycle. I like a chopper. I like a heavy machine that just kind of looks like steel framework barely holding these, these vehicle parts together in a desperate attempt to just get you down the road. You know, I like that. That's a cool motorcycle to me. So when you get this like manic looking guy like Brimstone, his big teeth hanging down, his buzz saws for hands, now you're talking. Now you got a cool, interesting design that I would love to see more. I would love a deluxe of this guy that I will absolutely never get. He's just a cool gremlin of a Transformer. Like, this would be so fun to get a deluxe of. But no, if we're getting a new deluxe that's a chopper motorcycle, there's only one that's going to come up. And that would be, yeah, that would be Oil Slick. Oil Slick is a little bit above a lot of these because even though he is a filler for the toy line, he does actually make appearances in the cartoon, albeit last season, well after his toy came out. But he actually did make it, so he's got a little bit more notoriety than the rest. And everyone loved this toy when it came out, you know, because this actually does work really well. Like, the toxic green color mix works really well. It's very kind of Mad Max with all the spikes hanging off of it. The goat skull, you know, hanging off the front, you know, with the horns overlapping like the handlebars. Super cool design, you know. And then things like the chain weapons hidden in the barrels that hang off the side of the vehicle mode. It's a cool motorcycle and a cool looking, interesting character. He's got this creepy, lanky aesthetic going on. Like, it's all about that toxic design look. You couldn't do one today because you wouldn't hear the end of people crying out that because he has a dome head, he should be redone into Psykill. And guess what? We had that back then too. Everyone wanted to see him retooled to Psykill, no matter how little sense it made or how, you know, trademark impossible it was. And you'd get that again if they did another one. I'm going to wrap it up with another weird one. And this one I don't think I've talked about very much. But it's another one of those designs that came out of absolutely nowhere. And just, I immediately took to it. And this is again from a weird source. This is from RID 2015. Let's look at Twinferno. Oh my god, Twinferno. First off, that name. The original name was Double Cross. The G1 version that is the inspiration for this design, yeah, that's Double Cross, which he's an Autobot. I've never understood naming an Autobot Double Cross, but there you go. But he was a two-headed dragon and primarily gray with only a little bit of red. Here, they flipped the color dominance, so now he's mostly red. He still has the twin dragon heads for hands. He's got flame swords that double as blast effects. Awesome. The jet mode. Oh my god. Like, how fancy. Like, it's so, like, 90s toy aisle style design. It's a bright red stealth bomber with dragon cannons attached to it. This looks like a lost Double Dragon toy. And I mean the Double Dragon cartoon. You know, that thing, not the video game. No, this one is just absolutely impossible to get a new one, by the way, because he was toy only. He was there to fill a shelf, and he's inspired by a G1 character. They'd rather just redo the G1 character again, probably. But the design's so cool! How did this not get repainted a dozen times? Why do I not have, like, a black stealth jet version with, like, gold dragons, or, you know, or, like... Oh my god, I could have gotten a dozen repaints of this thing. It's such a cool design, and we will never see it again. But we got in about 20 minutes. I can cut it off there. This is one of those things where, like, I could comb through for days over all the different designs, and we only got one round with that I would love to get again. So this is one where I will put it to you in the comments section below. Please tell me your favorite design, preferably designs that only got one use, whether that's a weird reimagining of a G1 character or a one-off character they never plan to ever revisit. Either or, I will take either answer. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.